Okay, hi there. This is a tutorial on the Linux, Linux Bash. Okay, I'm running Debian 3.1 on Oracle's VM VirtualBox. So, and very quickly I'm going to, first of all, go into Applications, Accessories, and go into Terminal, because this is what it's about here. So at the terminal, the first command that we're going to do is the first command I'm going to show you is pwd. That's a print working directory. What that does is it shows you the directory that you're in. Now currently this is my home directory, logged in as a user without root or administrative permissions, if you will. So as a regular user, I'm in my root, which is the / you see here, home, so that's root, or / home / Paul. That's the file that I'm in. So that's a print working directory. It shows you where you're at. You'll also notice here the tilde sign here shows that it's my home directory. This is considered the user's home directory. So that's the pwd command. Now cd is the change directory command. Now if I go cd space / hit enter, you'll notice here it's actually changed me to the root directory over here. So as you can see there, instead of the tilde representing the user's home, it's gone to root. And if we do the pwd command, we will see, aha, we are at root. Okay, and root is the basics of the file system. It's the base of the base. From there you can access everything. Basically, it's if the next command I'll show you here is an ls command that lists everything that's in the root, if you will, or the files accessible from there. So here you'll see something like this. And here you can see many different folders. It's important to note here that Linux files everything as folders or files. That's it. They're either a folder or it's a file. Now, a folder is called a directory here, but it's the same thing. It's just basically a folder if you're from a Windows background. And you'll notice they're in different colors. They're representing different types of either folders or files. All the dark blue here represent folders. And we'll go ahead and let's take a look at some of these folders here. So we're in our root. If we go to cd, which is change directory, and then hit I, and if I use the tab key, it auto-completes what would assume that I'm looking at. So in this case, it thinks that I'm looking at the bin directory, which I am, or the bin folder. Hit there, and you'll notice here it's moved me from just the / or root, from root to bin. And if I do a pwd print working directory, you can see, yes indeed, I am at the / bin directory. Okay, now here in the bin directory, it is the binary folder or directory, which basically, if I do an ls or a list command, you'll see, aha, look at all this. Now these are basically all generally where the Linux file system will hold all the programs here, or executable files. But like I said, they're all just files, but these are all executable type files. Matter of fact, we can even see our bash directory here, which is, of course, the bash that we're using, Nano, a word editor, and a whole bunch of other, most of the commands we'll be using will be coming from here. So that's the bin directory. Now, what if I do just a cd to change directory again without anything after it? Boom! If you'll notice that what it does is cd without anything will take the user back to their user home directory. if I do an ls command to list, well, here we'll first do a pwd or print working directory, and we see indeed that it's moved us to our /home, the root or the home folder of the user, in this case Paul, in the computer. So ls, these are all the folders that are within, of course, my home directory. Now I'll show you another command. This is called clear. Very simple, clear, and all that does is simply clear the screen. It keeps you in the folder that you're at, but it just kind of clears the terminal so you can have more space to work with. So again, we'll go to the root, cd. Now if we go ahead and use the / to get to root, it will take us to the print working directory. To double check, yes, indeed we're at root. ls, list again. Now let's change directory and let's go check out the etc file. What I'll do here is et. I'll hit tab to autocomplete, and it automatically fills in the rest for me. It knows that I'm trying to access the etc folder or file. So I hit enter, boom, and then pwd for print working directory, and indeed I am in the root etc file. Now here in the etc folder, this is another very important directory or folder, and here if we do an ls in the etc, we see there's a whole bunch of folders, as we can see, highlighted in dark blue, so we know that there's more files within there, or they're folders at least. And these basically are configuration files. Configuration files from everything from your word processing to your bash configurations, a lot of just configuring how you tweak the various programs and applications on your system. So that's the etc or etc folder. I'll do a cd / to get back to root, since we're looking at the file system. I'll go ahead and first clear. Okay, I'll do a pwd print working directory. Yes, we're at root again. ls command to list what folders and files we have here at the root, and we've checked out the bin, which we know our programs tend to reside there, our etc file system. Now let's go ahead and cd space /dev. Now instead of using just skipping the / you see that I've typed in the entire, that would be the absolute address. So I'm changing, instead of a relative, by using the cd, like cd dev, which it knows that I'm trying to get into there. Basically what I'm doing is, cd is I'm using a absolute directory. I'm saying root dev folder, and it takes me to the dev folder. Now this, if we do an ls command here, you'll notice, whoa, lots of yellow and black on here, a little bit a different color coding. Now basically these are all the devices that your system uses or can use, and like I said, everything's considered a file here. So even your hard disk would be considered a file, except a printer and network, Ethernet, everything that's on there. So that's the dev for devices, quite simply. So we'll go ahead and we'll do cd. Now instead of now to get back to the root file, let me go ahead and first clear this using our clear command. So here we are, and if I do a pwd, we know we're still in the dev or devices file. Now to get back to root, I mentioned that if we do cd /, it'll move us to root. Also another way to move up one directory, because we went down into one file, to move up just one, you can put the CD space with 2 periods. And if we do that and we do a pwd, we see we're back in root. So that's a way to move up one file system. You know, so that would be, let's say we just do a CD blank, right? Now we know if we just do CD with nothing else, it's going to take us to the user's home directory, which in this case, of course, is the root home /Paul, which is the user's home directory. And if we go CD, if we go change directory, period, it's going to take us to up to home. So it's just taking us up one level, if you will. And if we do CD, period, again, and then pwd, you see we're back at root. So back at root, we see all our files here. Now let's go ahead and check boot directory. So I'll go ahead and CD / use the absolute address. But even a little bit more formal with the / at the end. Do an pwd to show, yes, we are in the boot directory. And guess what that is? Well, let's go ahead and do an ls command to see what we can see. Okay. Now if you notice, right here is our bootloader, grub. And here, as the name suggests, this is a location for the kernel or the core of the operating system, and if you have, you know, this is, well, we'll kind of go into this a bit more, but basically know that that's where your system is booting up from. So I'll go ahead and do a clear command. I'll cd, and instead of leaving it, I'll use a tilde sign now. So I did a CD with a tilde sign. Now let's see what that does. If we do a pwd, it takes us to our home directory. So that's another way to get to the home directory, but of course we want root. So CD, we'll go ahead and /. So pwd, and again, when I'm changing the directory with the /, again, that would be an absolute address. I'm telling the computer very specifically where I want to go. I want to go to the root, and that's what it's done. And pwd, you see we're at root again. So now let's go ahead and look at another directory. So we'll go ahead and do our ls or list command to see what we've got going on here. And we see all our major folders going on in files here. So let's go ahead and look at the, okay, we'll change directory into, how about the Sbin directory? Okay, so as you can see, we've got an Sbin directory instead of bin, which we know are binaries. I'm going to look at the Sbin, and we'll do an ls command in there. And you notice, again, we've got a lot of stuff going on in here. And here, your Sbin is another one of those, you know, kind of off-limit directories. This is, it's very much like the bin directory. A lot of binaries are in here, frequently used programs. But these, in this particular one, is just meant for root. So you can find like shutdown in here, and a lot of other root programs that we use for mounting disk, etc. So that's the Sbin. Again, it's very much like your bin. It's binaries, but just specific programs for the root user. So we'll go ahead and cd back to root and pwd, so we know we're at root. We'll go ahead and clear the screen with our clear command. Now it's important as you guys watch this tutorial to just go ahead and you know, hopefully you already have your terminal open, and go through these commands and just try, you know, Just keep up with me if you can while having the terminal open with your own Linux shell. Go ahead and minimize this to the side of your screen, and just check out all these folders and practice these commands: the cd command, the ls command, your your clear screen command, and they'll become very quickly second nature to you. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and ls. Alright, here we are. We're back in root, pwd. Yes, we know we're in root. Okay, now let's go ahead and we'll take a look at we'll change directories using our cd. Instead of, okay, we're going to change directories. I'm not going to use the absolute address, but I'm going to go ahead and T, and then I'm going to hit tab. Now, what do you think it's going to fill the rest with? Oh, tmp /. Okay, let's take a look at what's in our temp. Great, and here we go. Okay, now the temp directory, now this is used to store your temporary files, just like the name suggests, and you'll find a lot of things for just a lot of your temporary files, like if you're using a Photoshop or a video program, the temporary files will be holed in there, and it's mainly for those programs that need extra space. They'll use this area. Okay, we'll go ahead and cd back to root, ls. Here we go. So we've taken a look at temp. Okay, let's take a look at our var directory. Whoops. Now this is another way. Okay, another way to change directory is just go ahead and sorry, cd var. Okay, we put in our absolute address, pwd, and ls. Okay, now here in our var directory, now this is a directory for certain files also that now these are for files that will change their sizes. Now this would be like databases. I mean, anytime you're kind of loading like a database, where as you can see a game or mail or logs and backups, things that will tend to grow in size. var is for various. It takes into account that this directory is going to grow in size. So you'll see a lot of things like email and logs and such that you can access in here, and it's very important file system for that. We'll go ahead and cd. I'm going to use the 2 periods to move up one directory, which should take us to our, you guessed it, root directory. Okay, now let's go ahead and clear the screen so we got a little bit more space to work in, and we'll go ahead and list. Okay, so we've looked at our bin, or our binary executables, our etc folder. We've looked at boot. Now let's look at /lib. Whoops. lib. Oh, sorry, cd /lib and list here. Great. Now here, this is lib is for library files. This is programs, a lot of programs, you know, whether it's Python, Bash, etc. They'll use libraries. So Linux will store a lot of those library files here, so the program knows where to find them. Okay, we'll go ahead and cd back up to our root directory. We'll go ahead and clear the screen, and we'll go ahead and ls, list our folders once again. Now let's go ahead and let's take a look at the home directory. You saw that very briefly before, but whoops, h home, and there you go. Okay, so now we're in the home folder. Now if we L here, okay, now this is the directory for storing the user's personal files. Now, so as you see, there's only one user that's listed on here, besides root. That would be kind of the super user, if you will, or root user. But as a regular user, we have only one Paul, which would be the Paul folder, and if we cd'd into Paul, we get, of course, the home directory of Paul. Or again, an easier way to do that would be just cd, or the cd tilde, which will do the same thing, but depending on the user's access. But anyways, so again, we are at, those would be the personal files. Now, another important point to make about the list command. ls lists all the folders and the files within each one, but if you wanted to see some of the hidden files within any folder, wherever you are, all you have to do is put the tac sign or minus sign, tac A for all. So this would list everything that's there. And if you notice, so before, where we just had desktop documents, downloads, music, blah blah blah, video, and now after we put in this tac A, we've got all these others. Now we see there's even some folders here, because we can tell because them being the dark blue. Now if you notice, the only difference that we see is each one, whether it's a folder or a file, it has a dot in front of it. Now Linux will use this to hide a file or a folder. Now this is important to a lot of your more subtle configuration files that your average user doesn't need to see. That's to hide them. All you have to do is put a period in front of the file name. And so that's so with the ls command and the tac A, that'll list everything in there. Okay, so let me go ahead and clear the screen. Okay, let's see where we're at. pwd. Okay, we're at the home user Paul. We'll cd. We'll move up one file to the pwd, as we see. Oh, we move from back to home. Now we'll